Hi, mamas, and welcome. I'm Carol Webb, the founder and your host today of Just Breathe Mama Coach. I'm a coach for moms, and I help them to navigate the overwhelm and create a more manageable life, one that's filled with joy. I'm doing an interview series with creatives in the hopes that you find something that lights you up. And I'm really excited to introduce our next guest. It's Priti of Paint It Priti paint parties. She's an artist and a teacher, and she absolutely loves what she does and takes joy in every event that she's called out for. The experiences the experiences that she has been able to be a part of during this journey have meant so much to her and opened up a new perspective of the world and people around her. Teaching and giving people the encouragement to believe they can accomplish something they thought they couldn't has brought her such a feeling of joy. Priti has had the opportunity to work with adults, seniors, teenagers, and children. She has taught special needs who came with their nurses, people who cannot hear and have to read her lips or had the instructions signed to them, and teens in the care of Children's Aid, and the most recent was a blind man. His words to her of the experience melted her heart. All these wonderful experiences and positive feedback from people has driven her to do the best in every party that she has held. And Priti is here today, happier than ever, doing what she loves and being able to share the joy of it with the people around her. That's fantastic. Welcome. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you for having me.
So how did you become an artist? How did this whole thing come about?
So it's funny because my kids were younger. My youngest was about 9, 10, and I wanted a balance. And I'm like, how can I find this balance where, there's doctor's appointments and there's things, my kids are sick, where I can have the control of, having a job that I like and still being able to like be there for my kids.
Mm-hmm.
And so, it's funny because there's a lot of these small direct marketing businesses where you go and do small parties, like Arbonne and, Sensi and all those kinds of different things. And I thought to myself, I was doing, steep tea. And I'm like, nobody wants to come to my tea party.
Oh,
Oh my goodness, like what kind of party can I do where somebody would want to come to it? And then I thought, well, if I was to think outside the box, I'm like, what if I tried something like, for instance, a paint party? And so that's how the ideas, like just some brainstorming, and all of a sudden the ideas just, started flowing. And I'm like, you know what? I can come and set up, these are the things I do on my own at home anyways, right? So I'm like, what if I was to try to teach it? So instead of doing like, big restaurants and big venues, why don't I come into your home?
mm-hmm.
And why don't I let you get some of your friends together and I'll come with, a small set of supplies and we'll kind of make it a wine and paint night. And you can have wine or you can have, whatever you want to do. And I will show you in the comfort of your own home how to go through a painting from start to finish within one evening. And you know what? After the first one, I only had enough easels for 6, enough brushes for 6. I started very, very small. It was just one night with a group of friends. And from then, that was 5 years ago, and it just snowballed and snowballed and snowballed.
Oh, fantastic.
Into like something huge where it just went from 6 people to eventually after 5 years, I'm doing groups of, in person, my biggest was like 55. Virtually, I think over 350. So, I mean, it all just came to play slowly, but it all started with this small little idea of, hey, you know what? My steep tea party didn't work. No one wants tea. What's something different that they'd want to try with their friends, right?
Oh, that's fantastic. I love
Yeah.
that. How did you become an artist before you opened your business?
So the background that I had, so I was a graphic designer.
Okay.
I also held my real estate license for over 10 years because I got that when I was on mat leave with my son.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought to myself, how can I kind of find something with, that I can use my artistic background in? Mm-hmm. So I was doing graphic designing, working in a print shop. That was kind of the background. But I mean, I grew up loving art. I was winning coloring contests since I was like 5 years old. So many at McDonald's that they put my picture in the paper.
Oh, no way.
I won, and I got a free pizza or whatever, a free little dinner from them when they were doing that stuff, or some free meals or something, right? So so it all started from, me I was just coloring and doodling. And I always joke that I'm like, I was never allowed out when I was young just because the cultural background, so
Right.
what do you do with your time? So I would sit there and just draw and draw and draw. And so that's kind of where, it all kind of started from just all that. And then my love for, painting kind of grew. It wasn't until my kids got older that I'm like, you know what? I need to start doing something for myself.
Mhm.
Well, that's when I started to paint a little bit. And then all of a sudden it just sort of evolved into a business, right?
That's
So
fantastic. It's so nice when you can combine what you love with what you do for work.
yes,
And the
yes.
paintings behind you are so beautiful, by the way.
Thank
I love
you.
them. They're so
So
bright,
this was the lesson I was just doing last night. So it's
stunning.
still down in the, down here, but yeah, this is the way I would set it up. I have something, whatever displayed, and then I'll stand here or sit here and I'll show you how to, walk you through it step by step. And it's a nice evening. So
Yeah, I love that.
yeah,
So
yeah.
what type of paint parties do you offer then? You obviously offered in person, but that's probably not happening right now, right? It's more
Yeah, I
virtual.
kind of put that on hold for a little bit until
Right.
it all opens up. I
Things open
used
up.
to, come out to homes, restaurants, churches.
Right.
If it's fundraising events, I would go to wherever they were having their event. Anywhere you can name, I would be there. A park, anywhere. Right now, we've kind of converted it all to virtual. So we're still doing the same thing. It's just that people are in their homes. So birthday parties, for instance, bachelorette parties, girls' nights, just family events, fundraisers. And even then, it's the same thing. Everyone logs on from home.
Mhm.
We all go through the steps together. If it's a birthday, they do porch drop-offs of cupcakes and things like that. So,
Oh,
everyone sings together and has their cupcake together and paints together. So we've kind of found ways um, to sort of evolve for now to still make it something that's fun where people can get together and just kind of forget about everything else that's going on and just enjoy an evening with friends or family and just kind of like just kind of let go of everything and just have a good evening.
yeah, that sounds like so
Kind of
much
what it's
fun.
about.
Yeah, exactly. I believe I also saw on Instagram, I think it was Instagram, that you were doing drawing classes or illustration classes as well. Is that
Yeah.
something new?
It is actually. So I have some kids who are interested in drawing, and we've gone through. They get hooked. So they start with one painting, and after like 20, it's like, well, we need something new to do. So I'm like, all right, well, it's a learning curve for myself too, because I
Right.
might specialize in one thing and not be as good at in something else. So even me, I'm drawing with the kids, and I'm like, oh my gosh, guys, I'm like, I surprised myself today. So we started portrait drawing classes. I'm kind of in the works of doing some kind of like fashion design type classes where I'm teaching how to do the actual figure and how to do different, outfits on it and stuff. So I slowly am like introducing, just different parts of it instead of just painting. So the portrait drawing was one. Hopefully the fashion design one is going to be another. And more advanced portrait drawing for the kids who finished and, the adults who finished the first session. They want to keep going and learning more, like maybe parts of the body, how to do a whole body, how to do so again, we start with something small and eventually as we go we just keep adding things to it. So that's how I've been doing things, and it's worked out quite well.
Good. Yeah, it sounds like things are always evolving. That's great.
Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we learn as we go. Same with
Yeah.
me. Like I said, I'll do one or two portraits and then, one day I'll do one. I'm like, guys, if I flip back to the one I did the first time and now we're doing this one, I'm like, look at the difference in even just what I've done to
Right.
myself. So
Yeah.
that just proves
Just
that
giving
doesn't
you
matter who you are, what level you're at. You keep going, towards a certain goal and you'll get there, and you'll probably even exceed that goal and you'll
right.
surprise yourself. So
Yeah. Oh, I
that's why
like
I like,
that.
yeah.
Do your clients need much in the way of like art supplies or even, well, not experience, because you said I think they could start.
Oh, no experience. Yeah,
No.
like zero
Oh,
experience.
great. Perfect. Yeah.
Most people, 95% have not even picked up a brush, and they're like, "Oh, I do stick people." And I'm
Yeah.
like,
That's
"Yeah,
me.
okay, you won't be doing stick people." They don't need much. If it's a drawing class, I'm like, start with a sketchbook, and a set of pencils. I mean, even from the dollar store, just a little set with different pencils and a sketchbook. I use the same thing sometimes. So I'm like, look, I'm using the same stuff as you can buy there. So you can choose to go to an art store and spend more, or you can just grab that. Even if you only have one pencil at home, I can show you like a way to use your pencil. So you can get the different, shadings and, different kind of depths and stuff like that, even with one pencil. Say for painting, I'm like, variety of brushes. I've learned myself doing things virtually that, you know what? Just a variety of brushes works. It doesn't matter what brush, it just matters how you use it, which is the kind of stuff I teach you. Canvas, hey, you don't need canvas. I've had people paint on pizza boxes, wood.
Yeah.
I've had them paint on paper. Like we've done all kinds of things now that we've done it online. And it's like, you know what? You can get canvas paper or canvas if you choose, but it's not necessary. And you can still do the same thing. I have this exact same picture in my sketchbook that I did the other day because I'm like, oh, I forgot to get a canvas. So, I mean, this is a sketchbook.
Oh, right.
This is acrylic paints, right? So, I mean, if you don't have much, you don't need much, right?
Right. Yeah. And you can get acrylic paints in that at the dollar store as well. I even saw canvases because my son and I were interested in starting painting.
Yep. And you can get like cheaper, like, art paints, which are okay. They're a bit thinner. You know what? I've had kids use Crayolas, washables. You know what? We make it work. It's still paint, right? So yeah, that's
great. Yeah. Yeah, that sounds good. I've never heard of pizza boxes before, but yeah, why not? The back of them work.
When people couldn't get out, they were using whatever they had at home, cardboard boxes,
That's
paper,
awesome.
whatever. Yeah.
Do you have different themes to choose from? Like I see you have different paintings in the back there. Do you have specific ones for people to choose from when they are booking a party?
I do. So I have a website, and just paintitpriti.com, and there's a gallery on there. So there's ones for kids, ones that say kids and adults, one that say, holiday themes, fall themes, but of course, any are meant for any. So say you're, a kid and you want to do, I've had kids do, move my camera up a bit, the girl on the swing that's up there, or on the tire swing. So, initially it was meant for, say, an adult's party.
Right.
Kids love it. So I've been doing that one so much with kids. So, I mean, it's, there's a gallery on there and you kind of pick whatever you like, and you could change colors as we paint. It's really flexible. If there's something that you wanted to paint and say, I didn't have it, they'll be like, oh, I really want, I don't know, a certain theme. That's how things like, my flamingo and my llama. Oh, and I have my gnome. That's how these things come about, because there's suggestions. And I'm like, oh, all right, let's do something fun.
Cute.
Hanging with my gnomies.
Right.
I'm like, you can put whatever you want on your sign, right?
That's so cute.
So we kind of, I kind of just go with whatever people want to do. I'm like, hey, let's change it up. Let's do this. Let's do this. That's what makes it fun, right?
Yeah. No, I love that. It's the go with the flow kind of attitude. I like it.
Exactly.
So what's one of the top questions that you get asked by clients? Do you have one?
A lot of times it's a lot of kids too that I paint with. Adults the same. They'll just ask me, they're like, how are you so good at this? How do you do this? How do you make it look so easy? Right. And I'm like, honestly, it's just practice. It's just practice. I'm like, what do I do on my free time? I love to paint. It's just something I do. I find it relaxing. I find it, very therapeutic. You forget about things, you put on your music and you just, paint. And the kids and the adults have noticed from the first time they paint with me to maybe the fifth time, I'm like, or even the third time, I'm like, do you notice how the first time you were afraid to touch the canvas? And now you're right in there changing colors and changing ideas and adding little things of your own. And so this is where, you'll notice that the more you do it, the more your confidence grows and it gets easier and you get faster, and, and anyone can do it. Not just, it's not just me. It's just because I put a lot of time into it.
Right.
So it's the same for everyone else. They can pick up the speed, they can pick up the skill. They just, it's just a little practice, just like everything else.
Oh, I love that, because I am not a painter. Well, I say that, I shouldn't say that. I'm not a painter yet. But I'd like to get into it because it's just such a beautiful creative outlet. And a lot of creativity is very therapeutic.
Yeah,
And it would be so nice to just lose yourself, I think, in the painting as you're doing
and
it.
that's
But I,
exactly what it is. Yeah, and I
yeah,
tell them, whether you worry or you don't worry, the results are going to be the same. So I'm like, just let go
yeah,
and just, you know what, and just go with it. I can already tell you ahead of time if something goes wrong, how to fix it. If you're not sure with something, I explain even in the beginning before we start. I usually paint over canvases. I'm like, hey, there's ways to cover things up and
mhm,
put new things on it. And it's just, you know, the more, I'm like, in life, everyone's always trying to be perfect, right? I'm like, in art, it's the imperfections that are going to make it look, natural and beautiful and unique. And so it's like everything else we're trying to do so perfect. I'm like, you know what? That's the beauty of this. It's
mhm.
the differences that make it so much better, right? So,
I love that. Yeah, enjoy the process, enjoy the
yeah,
journey. Yeah, I love that. The
exactly.
perfection of imperfections.
Exactly. I'm like, don't line up, this mountain with this mountain. If you're outside in nature, does anything match? Does
No.
one tree match another tree? Does one branch match another? No, it's all
Mhm.
different, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
you're right.
yep.
I love that. All right, I'll just wrap up our chat with this final question. So, what are the
Mhm.
biggest benefits that moms will receive from having a paint party with you?
So again, of course, we covered some of them.
Hmm. We
It's
did.
therapeutic. It's a chance to kind of let go and, just forget about all the stuff that's going on during your day. It's, if you're doing it with a group of moms, for instance, you guys can chat at the same time, just about things. You get to have your mom time.
Yeah.
But also another benefit is, say you have young ones and you need your kids with you, right? The beauty of this also is that you can do it while your kids are napping. I've been to, once things open up, whether virtually or at homes, I've had moms nursing as they're painting at the
Right.
same time.
Yeah.
So we've had groups where, there's a couple of little babies, they come down, we're passing them around and they're painting at the same time. So I mean, whether you choose to do it on your own for your me time with, other moms, or you choose to need to have, or you choose to have your kids there or need to have your kids there.
Mm.
Sometimes they're in the basement playing. Sometimes, you have them right there with you. But the beauty is you can still enjoy this process and still have your kids there if you need to, watch over them.
Mhm.
Or, it's just knowing that they're taken care of and you're still able to do something that you enjoy,
Yeah,
right? So
that's so important.
I think
Yeah.
that's a good benefit. Yeah, and all the other things as well that we discussed, just the fact
Mhm.
that it's a nice break from reality.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah,
think it's necessary these days, especially to have a little break from reality. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Well, this has
It's
been
a
amazing. This has been so fabulous. Thank you so much for
yes,
coming on today. I'm
yes.
going to post all the links below. And for everyone watching, the website is paintitpriti.com.
Mhm.
You can email her at paintitpriti@gmail.com and find out more information on her Facebook page, Paint It Priti, and follow her on Instagram at Paint It Priti as well. But I'll post all the links so you have those below. And I want to
Yes,
thank you so much again for joining us. That was a lot of fun, actually.
you're
And
welcome.
I will definitely see you at a paint party in the future.
Yes, hopefully, because you know what, you get hooked, right? You start
Yeah.
off and then you're like, oh, you know what? I like this more than I thought I would.
Yeah, I can't wait. My son, he's very into art, and he was going to Four Cats, and then everything obviously had shut down, and he loves painting, he loves drawing, he loves clay. And I said, oh,
Yeah,
I really want to try painting. It's something that I wanted to try, but you're a little hesitant and you would like to follow along with somebody. So
yeah,
I think
yeah.
that's what I'm going to have to
And,
do.
and even the kids, I love, like, I know it builds confidence in the moms and the adults, but same with the kids. It builds this
Yeah.
confidence in them where they're like, oh, I looked at the picture and I didn't think I can do it. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, look what I did. Right?
Yeah.
So I love that. So I even have open classes for kids on Tuesdays where they can just kind of, if they want to do 2 sessions, they can. If they decide to take a break, they can. So it's kind of like a sort of drop-in thing. So you don't have to have an event. For
Right.
instance, they can just drop in and just try it out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, that's great to know too.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much again.
Welcome. Thank you for